Okay, gonna jump right into tonight's recap from Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. And took two good trades today and going to quickly run through them. Have a little bit of a cold, so I'm gonna try to keep this short tonight. First trade, talked about yesterday. I already kind of went over it, but I'll quickly recap it. We have this key level of resistance is this previous month's open. You can see it right here. Price had rallied on Monday in a very kind of messy way, made this high on Monday, and then early in Asia session on Tuesday, we spiked the high. We had this imbalance here, and then got this signal here, this displacement here through this swing low. The swing low had reacted off of this gap after the push up. And so if we were going to be going higher, we shouldn't have seen this type of candle. So this was a good signal to short. Then price had come up into the gap here and started to show some rejection, which is when I entered the trade with my stop above this order block. And the target was just looking at the retracement from low to high and seeing the 50% retracement. See if I can get that. Seeing the 50% retracement, and since we had this gap here and it was an Asia session trade, I wanted to just have a very conservative target. I set the trade, I set the TP and moved my stop loss right. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, how I managed this. So once price, let's click through this. Actually, I think if I can do replay mode here. Okay, at this point, I did not touch my stop. I just kept it. Well, actually, I think I just moved it down a little bit to above this high here. And the thinking was we have this new imbalance here and price can still come up and mitigate this area and continue lower. So I did not want to move to break even just yet. But then once we started to go sideways and then broke lower right around here, or was it? Yeah, I think it was around here. I moved my stop to break even or a little bit low, right above this candle. And then I was about to go to bed here and I saw this happen where we wicked down here and had a nice strong close here above this high. And to me, I was thinking, okay, you know what? I was just going to move my stop to right above this candle. And if it took me out, I would have been happy just taking something at the time of day. And then I thought, the reason why I'm going to do this is because it's coming up into this imbalance. And there is a chance that this is just going to create an order block as we're trending down and consolidate and we pop up, and this could just completely dive off from here. And if it doesn't, then it's likely to come back up, and I don't want to take a loss or take a, even a break even really at that point. If this had just come here, I would have allowed it to come back up here, but because it went low, came back up, and then made a lower low with these wicks and then started to push up aggressively, I'd see a point in leaving the trade open at that point without protecting the position. So what happened was it just kind of continued lower, and when I was asleep, and it went down and hit my take profit. So that was the first trade, which was a nice result to wake up to. So the next trade was pretty textbook for my trade plan. And there's a few things that I really, really liked about it. So we can see at the New York Stock Exchange open, we had a sharp move down, which is really great to see. Taking out this low into this gap here, into this previous month's open, which we had bullishly moved above during the London session. And I also love that we had this like 3 drives pattern here right before the open. And I think that just lures a lot of people into shorting. And and sometimes I would short a 3 drives pattern, but if you just look at the context here, being that, like I said before, at the start of London, we wicked down into this gap and pushed up aggressively through this key level I had. And then leaving this gap here, it was pretty favorable to assume that this was just a liquidity grab at the beginning of New York session open, New York Stock Exchange open, to go higher. And also fits the profile for a classic buy day where we make the low of the day in London, spiking the low of the Asia range, and then we could see a high of the day much higher. And so what I did was, normally I would actually take the full position off at the next level, which this is a 4 hour, this is what I would have chosen. Probably should have done it, actually. I should have probably stayed entirely to my plan, because, well, actually, yeah, no, I should have. If I had stayed entirely to my plan, that would have been the exit. It would have been a 4.3R trade. But I did not do that. And the reasons why I did not do that, stay on the 15-minute for a second. For one, I took an early partial, 50% of my position off. I'll show on the lower time frame before this high. And I decided I was going to just leave a runner of the remaining 50% and just ride it as far as I could, because of the big news today, of the election news, and just the possibility that maybe the low of the week is in and we're due for a big upside expansion based on the higher time frame. And I thought, hey, maybe I would ride the whole move up. And so what I ended up doing was I saw price come down here, make this low, sweep this low, and then start pushing up. And I thought it was going to keep going, but this gave me a very logical place to trail my stop. And I got trailed out of my remaining position right here. So 50% of that, that was about 1.9 R on that portion of the position. And I think it's like half around here or something. So that was about 0.6. So end of the day, it still ended up being about a 2.5 R trade, which is usually what I expect when I'm always going for that. But I could have, if I had just really stuck to my plan and not been, I guess, too greedy. In a sense, I was fearful and greedy. Fearful because I took a partial when I didn't have to, and greedy because I thought, hey, this could really, really run, and I want to ride that wave all the way to the top. So I ended up taking less than I probably should have had I just kind of stuck to my plan. But the actual setup is just very clean for me. As I said, at the New York Open, we dropped down into the imbalance. We took this key low here from London session, just an obvious swing low here, and formed a nice reversal. This is where the imbalance came in, continue higher, and then this was where the entry was. And I had to sit through, maybe, I think I know why I took the partial, because this was just moving really slowly. Normally these just kind of take off right away, but instead this was about 15 minutes of waiting here when price was just chopping around, and NASDAQ was clearly the kind of the weakest indice compared to S&P and Dow. So I thought, once I got this kind of move up here, this initial impulse here, I was going to be pretty cautious given the day here, given the news of it that we were possibly going to be dealing with all day. So I took that partial, and yeah, that's what happened. So I got the nice move, came up, got taken out here, and then price dove back down, made a new low for the day, took everyone out, and then had a sharp bounce towards the end of the afternoon. Okay, looking at the daily chart as we game plan for the next trading day for Wednesday. We can see Tuesday closed as sort of an indecision candle. We've partially filled in this gap and showing a hesitation here to go higher at the moment. So I don't really have anything as of now, but I will mark out this, and then we'll mark out this. If I gun to my head, I would say we go higher. Just because we had this huge wick here. We had this huge wick here on the 4 hour, and then we had a big rejection down lower here. And at this point in time, it felt like it was really bearish. It felt like this thing was going to drop to new lows. And then we closed with the big push back up higher. So to me, this really traps everyone here. And it looks like the market is primed to go higher and take the stops and the liquidity here and then continuing up to here, which was the FOMC spike from last week. So we'll see if we get that. We'll have to see if we get a good setup in New York. And that's pretty much it. All in all, great day today. And look forward to seeing what the rest of the week has in store.